Aqua Home. Thanks so much for stopping by today. If you like sewing and crafting and the color aqua, you've definitely come to the right place. So my video a few weeks ago did really, really well. I normally have like around 100 views to my videos. Maybe like a couple hundred is a really good video. And then I had one with 12,000 views. I could not believe it. It was amazing. And it was the one I did on t-shirts and upcycling them. I say viral. It really didn't go viral, but it just really reached a broad audience. It seemed like people really liked those ideas. I've been wearing those shirts, and so I've been on the hunt for more ideas. So I'm going to be starting a video on some more different upcycle ideas that you can do. I've not done all of these before, so I'm definitely going to be learning as we do it, and you can come along and see how I do it. So I'm starting with a plain navy t-shirt. All right, and then I've not done this before, but I've been seeing several different things on Pinterest. So one thing is where you take your t-shirt, just one layer, and then you lay fabric on it and then sew a design. So whatever design you want. And then you just trim this outside fabric. And I definitely want to do one of those coming up, but I recently saw an idea that I think I'm going to do instead. And that's where you put this middle fabric inside on the bottom side. And then I've got my template, and I'm just going to lay it on the outside, sew over it, and then you actually cut open the t-shirt side of it so that it shows the pattern, or it shows this color underneath. I hope that's not too confusing. But I got this pattern really simply, okay? I'll tell you my cheat for getting super simple patterns and designs. You open a Word document, and then there are special characters. There are tons of special characters, and they're really simple, like clip art looking ones. They're just black and white, and a lot of them are just outlines. I added that special character of this, and it was like that big, but you can blow them up. So this is just that tiny little palm tree character that I really blew up to be a full page, and this is what I'm going to use as my template. So that's a really easy template idea. You can also go to Google and just Google palm tree silhouette, find something and print it off like that. But this is just black and white on regular computer paper. This is going to be my pattern, and then I just have a block of the fabric. This is what's going to be showing underneath. So once I cut open the t-shirt, this is what's going to be showing through, and I just made sure that this was the size of mine, and then a t-shirt. So hopefully you can follow along and this turns out a success. I'm excited to see it, and I hope you'll get some ideas.
So here's my plain t-shirt, and it is laid inside out. So I'm going to be working from the inside of the t-shirt, and I'm going to first lay down my fabric. Made sure my fabric is as big as my stencil or my pattern, and then I'm just going to center that on the t-shirt. So again, if you draw a line from the underarms to across the t-shirt, on that line is where you want to put your pattern, your design. So now I have my pattern, and now I'm going to put it on there. Now I'm pinning the pattern, the applique fabric, and the t-shirt only through one layer of the t-shirt. When you do this, you're going to want to make sure that it does not go through both layers of the t-shirt. It's only going to go through one layer. You're going to want to make sure to pin all the way around, but not on the design of the palm trees. You're going to want to make sure to keep it nice and around. But the more pins you have, the more it's not going to be shifting underneath. The t-shirt fabric is a little stretchy, so you're definitely going to want to make sure as you sew that there are no bumps, but definitely the amount of pins you put really help keep everything where it's supposed to be, nice and secure. Now to sew, I am just going to be using a straight stitch. I am going to back stitch when I start and when I finish, but then I'm just going to be sewing just the edge of everything that's black in my pattern. So definitely I'm going to need to take some pins out as I go around. And remember, I'm just sewing one layer of t-shirt. I made sure that the back of the t-shirt is away, and so I'm just sewing through one layer of t-shirt and then the middle fabric and then my pattern. And then as you do this, you're just going to go slow and sew right through the paper as you go around. Make sure that you're feeling and make sure there's no bumps, no folds in your fabric or the t-shirt, but then just have fun. This is pretty much just the easy part of going around your entire design. Before someone comes at me and starts talking about the fact that I am sewing over paper. Some people will say, oh, that'll dull your needle. And if you do it all the time, yes, it will. But for such a quick little project, I'm not sewing over this paper a ton. It's really not going to affect my needle that much. I have used this many times, and it's not like you sew through one piece of paper and your needle is completely worthless. You can certainly do it several times without it being a problem. But if you do feel like your needle gets dull, simply sew over your paper. Maybe do several projects that have paper as your design, sew over that, and then change your needle afterwards. It's really, I don't think, not that big a deal. Once you are finished sewing, you are just going to start ripping off the paper. Do this just slowly so that you don't pull any of the stitching out, but just take your time, and all the little tiny places, the details, just rip that paper right off. Once I finished ripping that paper off, I went ahead and just trimmed down my backing fabric, trimmed it down pretty nicely so that there wouldn't be a whole lot of excess on the inside of my t-shirt. Here is how the front of my t-shirt looks like. Once I have turned this right side out, so this is what it's going to look like from the front. I really like how this is looking. I trimmed off all the little threads just to clean it up a little bit. And then I used a seam ripper to start. I put my hand through one layer of the t-shirt, and then this is where you're going to take your seam ripper and just grab the layer of the t-shirt. Do not go through that second fabric. Just use your seam ripper just to cut a little slit in the first layer of your t-shirt. And that just helps give your your scissors more of a place to go in. I was really worried that when I was clipping this, I was going to cut through that aqua backing fabric. Then I didn't want to do that. So a seam ripper just kind of helps give you a little bit of a little nook that you can slide your scissors in, and it's easier to feel with the seam ripper, I think, when you're going through just one layer of fabric or two. I just went very slow throughout all of the cutting. I took my time and made sure that I didn't cut over any of the sewing lines that I had done, and I also didn't cut through that bottom fabric. So just take your time, go slow, and really enjoy seeing your pattern come to life.
Okay, so after I trimmed it, I went ahead and did a little bit of an experiment. So the two lines down here, one, I really cut out a bunch of the t-shirt to show the underneath fabric, and then the other one, I just cut straight down. I was hoping that the t-shirt would kind of start to roll up and show more underneath so that it would you really didn't have to like trim it. So on the palm trees, I did the same thing. This one, I cut out all of the space all of the t-shirt, and then on this one I just made slits and didn't really cut away any material. I just cut it through, and I just wanted to see after I washed it and dried it if it would really start to roll up and curl, but it really didn't. So I'm going to go ahead now that I've tried that experiment and just cut around the rest of this, and then my reverse applique t-shirt will be completed. And it's finished. This is how it looks. I really like the way that it turned out. Here's a close-up. Now you could use matching thread. I kind of liked the contrast of thread. I did the white around it so that you can see. But you could certainly do one that blended a little bit more with the background. That would be fine. Another thing that I wanted to show you was the inside. After I washed and dried it, it just got a little bit fuzzy on the inside. So this, I think the stitching will really hold it in place. And so even if this frays a little bit, it's nice and soft, so it won't rub against you, and it'll be really, really nice. You have to be so careful when you're cutting out all of the little pieces that you don't cut this bottom fabric or cut through to the other side. But if you want to try to reverse applique, this is a really easy method. Just on a t-shirt, and it just takes a plain t-shirt to the next level. All right, I've got another applique, a machine applique one. So instead of reversing it and putting the applique fabric on the back and then cutting out, we're going to actually go ahead and put the t-shirt and then our applique. I'm going to teach you how to zigzag over the edge. So same kind of concept, but let's get into a different one. All right, I'm trying to show you a little bit more of my space so that we can go through this. So I've got another t-shirt, and that's going to go on the bottom. All right, and we're going to be working on the bottom or the top half of this. Now I got this pattern just from Microsoft Word. You can go online and print out any anchor pattern that you want. I just pulled up Word. They have the special icons. I pulled up the anchor icon, blew it up really big, and this is going to be the pattern that we're going to sew over. Now, I did some other t-shirt DIYs. If you haven't seen that, definitely go check out that video. That's what kind of started my journey on T-Shirt Upcycles. But I have this piece of fabric that was left over, and it's very lacy. So this is what I'm going to use. I'm going to do a lace anchor. So I'm going to cut the piece that I need from here, and pretty much just need a big rectangle. I picked up this little outfit that I've used on 2 upcycles now from a yard sale for 25 cents. So I've definitely gotten my money's worth out of it. All right, we're gonna lay this down. I'm gonna trim this up a little bit. All right, you're gonna wanna center your lace first on your shirt. And then once that's there, I'm gonna take my anchor and put it over it. I've said this on my other video, but I like to do my design about where the underarms are. So if you draw a line from underarm to underarm, the middle of your design should go right about there. That's worked for me. I've tried putting them on, pinning it, and then taking it out. You can see the one I'm wearing, the design, if you pretty much draw a line right across there. So now we get to pin this on, and we are just going to pin it through 3 layers. We're going to pin it through the pattern, the lace, and 1 layer of the t-shirt. We're not going to go through both layers, just 1 layer. And then you're going to just pin it on there in several locations so that it doesn't move while we're sewing. Now, the way I'm doing this, it is all on there. One did go through to the other side, so let me fix that. All right, now the way I'm showing you how to applique, you don't have to cut out the pattern and you don't have to cut out the lace. I was worried a little bit that the lace would be too flimsy. So this way, we're gonna sew with a big piece of lace and then cut around it. So what we're gonna do first is get a straight stitch. So just a regular straight stitch on your sewing machine, and you're going to go around the pattern on the very edge of this. So we're going to start at one end, doesn't matter where you start in the design, and we're going to go through all of it. And then when we're done with that, we're going to peel off the paper. We're going to cut down the lace to just that design, and then to finish it, we're going to go back around our entire applique with a zigzag stitch. To finish the edges, make it really secure. So let's go ahead, jump on our sewing machine, and get going. As you go, you want to make sure your fingers are feeling to make sure that there aren't any bumps or folds that are underneath. So just make sure to kind of feel as you go around that everything is just one layer of fabric and one layer of t-shirt, and that there aren't any folds underneath. As you go, you're going to want to keep checking underneath. Make sure that the second layer is out and that you're only sewing through one part of the t-shirt. I am finished sewing around this. So now we get to go ahead and pull off the pattern. So because of the stitching, it should peel off pretty easily. You just want to go slow. Sometimes it'll tear, so just go little pieces at a time. All right, you can barely see the outline of where I've sewn, but it is there. So now what we get to do is go through and trim off as close as we can to where we did it on the where we sewed on the outside of our project. Now they make special scissors that are called applique scissors. I don't have any of those. I could get some, but I'm trying to show you on my channel how it's not super hard to do these things even with the supplies you already have. So we're just going to go very, very carefully around this, making sure we don't cut the t-shirt underneath or the applique on the inside of where we've sewn. And we're just going to trim as close as we can to that sewing mark where we sewed through, and we'll really see the pattern start to pop out. So you can see here I've cut along this line right here. We're going to go back and finish this with a zigzag stitch to make it really secure. So we're just getting rid of this excess so that we can go over it again and zigzag it. There is our applique all cut out. Final step, go ahead and put a zigzag stitch on your machine. Play around with it, how close and far you want the stitches, how wide you want the stitches. You can make it really wide. You can make it like really a zigzag stitch that's really close together. Play around with which one zigzag stitch you want to finish off your project, and then start sewing. Again, make sure you're only sewing through one layer of fabric. here is the final product. This is the inside, so you can see how we zigzagged all the way around. And then if we go ahead and turn it right side out, here is the front, our lace anchor. I just think this is so cute. I love the design. If you didn't want to do the lace and you just wanted to do the outline, I think the way it looks on the inside would be a really cool design to do as well. But I love the way that the lace turned out. I've wanted a shirt with an anchor on it for a long time, so now I have one, and it's homemade, handmade, and I'm practicing a new skill. So all things great all the way around. So thanks so much for watching with me. I'm going to try these on, show you in front of the camera, and then that'll be the video for today. Thanks so much for watching.